Karthik will be putting the question to one panelist, and after that, all the he will give the chance to other panelists if they have different opinion, and finally we'll have opinion of Dr. S.K. Pal for that situation. Over to you, Karthik.
Yes, sir. The first scenario, I would like to call upon Professor Badma Jagde. And this case scenario is like it's in a busy OR, while attempting to put a retrograde catheter, the ureteric orifice is injured. And further manipulation of the ureteric orifice was not possible. What to do next? Over to you, sir. Professor Badma Jagde.
Unmute him. Unmute him. Please keep all the panelists unmuted.
Over to you, sir. You're unmuted. You have to unmute.
Okay, okay. What I would like to do is, if there is an injury to the ureteric orifice, then two things I can do. I can talk to the relatives and the patient if he's under spinal anesthesia, and I'll tell him that you may have to postpone the procedure. Or if he says you go ahead with the procedure, then I'll put him prone and do an ultrasound guided puncture.
Okay, sir. So you go ahead with the ultrasound procedure.
Yes, yes, because he's already under anesthesia. Why postpone? Put him prone and do an ultrasound guided puncture.
Okay, sir. So in case we are going ahead with the ultrasound guided puncture, in case if you don't have an ultrasound machine, do you have any other strategy to go ahead?
If the system is dilated, I'll do a blind puncture and then inject the contrast and select the exact appropriate calyx and do one more puncture.
Okay. Professor Lakshman Prabhu sir, do you have to add anything?
The thing is, most of these injuries caused by the ureteric catheters are not that bad, even though the picture looks quite frightening. So if you have a small scope, especially 4.5 ureteroscope, we can gently try to find the lumen, place a guide wire, and then position a retrograde catheter for our subsequent manipulation. This is something which can be tried. And then the other option which we have is, those who are used only to fluoroscopic puncturing can always ask the anesthesiologist to administer contrast, and then you can light up the kidney. If the kidney has got good function, then you can opacify the collecting system, and then of course go ahead and do the puncture. I have done this, soon after a CT scan, in a scenario like this. Soon after that, I moved the patient to the theater, and when the contrast was still there, I could manage to puncture. This is another one. Ultrasound is not a bad idea at all. But then I agree with Padma that there are times when by postponing, nothing is lost. You see, the next day the ureteric orifice would have settled down, and you can easily place a retrograde catheter. Because I think the word busy must have caught his attention. That is, there is a long list. You see, maybe that was the one which has made him think like that. Thank you.
That's a valid point, sir. So go ahead with the intravenous contrast if you don't have an ultrasound. Okay. Professor Badnath, sir.
Yeah, Karthi.
Sir, usually where will you keep the tip of RGC when the stone is in the pelvis, or if you have a jam-packed stagnant calculus?
Usually I push it to the upper calyx, because invariably when you reposition the patient, it will come down for some distance. So once you are doing a puncture, then you can pull it to whatever level you want.
So usually when we change the patient from supine to prone, there will be there is a chance of dropping of the ureteric catheter to the upper ureter or the mid ureter. Is there any manuals you will try to prevent this?
No. We usually tie it, not it to the ureteric catheter. Even if the ureteric catheter moves little down, it doesn't matter, because you inject the dye, it should go up to the kidney.
Okay. One more to you, sir. If the RGC comes below the PJ and we try to push the contrast, if the contrast goes everything to the ureter and bladder, is there any way you can go ahead with the puncture?
No. If the contrast is lit only, then you go ahead with the puncture. If the contrast is not lit, then I think better to use ultrasound.
Okay, sir. So, Sir Ramesh, sir, do you have anything to add on this?
Yeah, the first question about the catheter which has traumatized the bladder, we can use just a simple LP needle and puncture the costivovertebral angle and get some dye inside, or use a short ureteroscope, a slender short ureteroscope like Dr. Lakshman says. That's a good technique. You'll invariably enter the orifice with the ureteroscope and you can put in a guide wire, and over that you can thread a catheter. And as far as placing a catheter, we always try to position it in the upper calyx. And then once patient is put prone, we can always readjust the position of the catheter, pull it down a little if required. So best thing is to put it in the upper calyx and then take a call accordingly.
Okay, sir. Professor Bandaka, sir, a quick question to you, sir. Which ureteric catheter you usually use? Is it a balloon taped catheter or a vessel taped or a straight angle catheter for RGP?
I routinely use only open-ended 5 French ureteric catheter. No balloon. I have never used a balloon tip ureteric catheter so far.
Is there any disadvantage of using balloon tip catheter?
I've never used it. I can't comment on that because, but in initial days it was supposed to, prevent the fragments going into the upper ureter. But these days, when we have a middle calygeal puncture or when you can always, chase the fragments, or we can always be careful. But one of the biggest advantage of balloon catheter is that the fragments will not go down to the ureter. But the disadvantage is that the pressure will go up, intrarenal pressure with the balloon catheter, with the irrigation fluid also not going down. So I want that irrigation fluid also to go down through the ureteric catheter to keep the intrarenal pressure, especially in a minimally invasive.
Exactly, sir. Point is well taken, sir. Professor Paul, sir, over to you, sir. You want to summarize?
Unmute him. Karthik, keep all panelists unmuted.
Yes, sir. Paul, sir, is unmuted only. Sir has to unmute, sir. He is unmuted from our side. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You are now audible.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I was listening to the whole discussion, and I will put my slides, and by the time you are taking the slides off, I would like to comment on this issue. As soon as even a 2 millimeter stone gets diagnosed, a person starts telling all his agonies, all problems of pain to the stone. He gets focused to the stone. When he comes to us, we also get focused to the stone in the kidney. We forget about the ureter. And unless I am able to do a RGP and do a ureteroscopy, find the ureteric orifice, and unless I am sure that there is no distal obstruction, I will not like to puncture his kidney at all. If you puncture the kidney, now there are only 2 passages for the kidney to throw its urine. If the lower passage down below PUJ and ureter is blocked, he will form a fistula. And once a fistula is formed, and later on you tell him, oh, you have a ureteric stricture at the lower end, and now unless I do a ureteric reconstruction, nothing will. So all the problems will start. So unless you see there is a distal clearance, you should not do a PCNL. I will abandon PCNL unless there is a, I have seen even the ureteric stricture, or even sometimes there is a mega ureter and it has been missed by our previous studies, by ultrasound or by other investigations. So first of all, foremost is to see that there is a distal patency, only then you puncture the kidney. In case you are not able to puncture the kidney, if the dye is not going inside,
Pulsar is muted.
Sir has to unmute himself, sir. Paul, sir, can you hear us? Paul, sir, you have to unmute yourself, sir. Yeah.
but in between it came that host has made you mute, so you cannot do anything.
No, sir. No,
Now only I could do it. Okay. So unless sometimes you are not able to identify the PUJ at the end of the surgery, there is so much of edema, some proliferation because of stone, congestion, pus, mucus, matrix. So to identify sometimes PUJ, you need a ureteric catheter or a guide wire coming in, or nothing, at least betadine should be coming in when you inject from the ureter. So distal patency has to be confirmed. Only then you start the procedure. And once you start the procedure and you are not able to put the dye inside the pelvic calyceal system, I think that is the question now, or that is going to come forward.
Sorry, now the question is, when you are not able to access the ureter from below, will you be proceeding with your PCNL or will you abandon it?
This is coming later, sir. This is not coming now.
Okay. So my answer will be, unless I have identified the ureter, the patency of ureter, I will not proceed further. I will do all my efforts, ureteroscopy, everything I will try, but I will not proceed further. Later on, telling stories that I have to do this to stop the leakage of urine coming becomes more difficult.
Got it.
Okay.